Welcome to Boz to the Future, a podcast I started so that we could get a little deeper on a few topics, because so often I find in our industry, these conversations kind of can be very surface deep and very broad. And I am thrilled to be joined today with Dylan Field, the CEO and co-founder of Figma, a company he started when he was 19 years old. Now, 13 years later, is really the de facto design standard in our industry. You have a hugely impressive bio. I'm not going to get into it because I find people can go look that up. What do you think is the most important thing for people to know about you?
I really like the pursuit of craft, and just finding it in different places and trying to figure out like what the future holds, understanding where I get things right, where I get things wrong. So yeah, that's why I was excited to come on too.
Well, I'm so glad you did. And I think it's funny that the audience will get from that a thing that is everyone about you will know, which is you're incredibly humble about your approach to the world. And it shows in the work, the curiosity you approach everything with. We were just before this, we started rolling. I wish we'd been rolling already. We're talking about data centers in space and how they're going to manage the thermal energy in these environments. Every conversation I've ever had with you, a tremendous amount of curiosity and also kind of optimism about where things can go if we design them carefully. It's such an interesting thing to think about Figma. When you started this company, the world, certainly our industry, kind of considered the space you were in to have been, if not solved, at least fully colonized, right? There was a set of tools, there was Adobe, it was like very established. And a lot of times when you see these big shifts from an incumbent to somebody who's an upstart, it's accompanied by a structural shift. What do you think it was that, and again, and not that you're entirely competitive, obviously, there's a lot of ways in which these tools all work together, and it's a kind of tremendous melange, but you found a niche that very few people saw, and have grown from that. And I just think it's like so fascinating. I'm kind of curious to get, and this is a prelude to a question about AI. I'm kind of curious to hear like your retrospective. What was it that you saw that maybe everyone else didn't see at the time that allowed you to get to where things are today?
Yeah. I'm curious where the prelude to AI goes. So yeah, we'll get there next, I guess. I think that it started with my co-founder actually. So I got to give him all the credit.
Yeah.
Really having an insight about WebGL.
Mm-hmm.
WebGL, ability to use the GPU on your computer in your browser. WebGPU is the successor technology. And Evan was really deep on WebGL very early and shown that you could actually use it for real things. Now, showing that you could use it for a real big production application, that was different. We had to test that out. But then there's a question of, okay, if we're going to go into WebGL, and by the way, I was advocating for drones in 2011.
There you go.
Evan shut that down fast.
Yeah.
Also very excited about WebGL.
There's two good ideas, but
yeah, I think drones would have actually been too early. So, yeah, he was right.
Yeah, good.
But for WebGL, I think the main question was, okay, where do we go with it? Ironically, I'd been interning at Flipboard the summer before on the design team, and the summer before that, as a sort of engineer, data analyst type person, and building recommendation engines and doing some like old school ML.
Yeah, sure.
And with Flipboard, we were using a combination of tools, but mostly Adobe Fireworks, which was Macromedia Fireworks.
Yeah, that's right.
I got acquired in, and I left Flipboard, started working on Figma. We were starting to explore all this stuff that was really cool, combinational photography, but it was basically get like 85% of the way there until we had deep learning, you can't get all the way there.
Right.
And eventually we said, okay, we got to ship something for real. Like it's been too long of making demos. And we started to really focus in on first photo editing in the browser.
Yep.
At some point, we're like, wait a second, everyone's going to take photos on their phone. Why are we doing this in the browser if it's not supportive of RAW?
Right.
And then Adobe actually killed Fireworks.
Right.
And at that point, I was like, well, this is a good starting point. We can go build out from there into other places.
Huh.
And at the time, it was interesting because we were thinking it'd be all these other creative tools, very much in the Adobe platform world. What actually ended up happening was we ended up building into the product design development workflow.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like we had two things wrong. First, we underestimated how big the market could get. We had an instinct that design and the number of designers and the amount of software being designed and the value of design, it was all growing at an exponential rate. And we really couldn't back it up with data, though. It was like the Bureau of Labor Statistics said 250,000 designers in the world. It's like, that's not a big market.
Sure.
And we had a sense that people were hiring more, but it was just these small local examples. It wasn't like we did some broad research survey.
Yeah, you didn't hire McKinsey to come in and check on our.
We're already freaking out about our $3,000 or whatever it was for rent in Palo Alto. Maybe a little less than that. But anyway, that instinct turned out to be not just right, but like really right. And the way that design hiring grew over the next decade ahead was wild.
Yeah.
And also, I think the instinct of WebGL led us to, cloud, and the instinct of collaboration, just like the native primitives we were used to.
Totally.
When it came to multiplayer games, online communities, and Google Docs, and Wave, which I was a big fan of.
Sure.
And unfortunately sunset way too soon. All those sort of like inputs that we've had through our lives that we came from, that perspective, made us go, oh yeah, multiplayer could make a lot of sense here. We don't know exactly how it'll be used, but that's like native to the browser. It's probably something we'll have to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that also unlocked a lot of possibility.
There's so much there. It's actually worth getting into it. 3 things that stand out. One that's interesting is how many pieces of the future you and Evan were thinking through, things that would eventually come to pass. Computational photography obviously had a tremendous kind of rise and really has hit unbelievable levels now. Drones have this huge kind of arc, even inside the design space, a bunch of pieces. But timing is everything. You're pointing about Wave and a bunch of other pieces. There's quite a few people who've kind of come in and tried to do these things in one way or another and probably did a good job, but they just the market wasn't ready for them. And there was this explosion of design that happened. When we started early at Meta, Aaron Siddig and Celio Cuervo, our first designers, were kind of our only designers for like a long time. And then Chad joined, a few other people, but it was a small, incredibly small, Julie, of course, like small, highly leveraged team. And you wanted to get time with them. That was gold, right? Because like they were just, you can unlock a huge amount. You could go work for hours and hours and hours if you could get like a little bit of a vision from them. And at some point, everyone figured out we should hire more. Like that seems like a good idea. And I remember so vividly when we did get to the point where we had so many designers that actually the collaborative workflow was a problem.
Yes.
And so you had people like Alex Roche going in and doing, and Figma didn't exist yet. And shout out to Dreamweaver, my first one before Fireworks. Shout out to like early Macromedia Dreamweaver work when I was a teenager.
Were really incredible.
Yeah. We started building these like hacking together these internal collab tools.
Pixel Cloud.
Remember that? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Lee Byron.
Yeah, Lee Byron was the dude.
We looked at that and we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
We actually didn't look at it because we couldn't see it. But we kept hearing about
it.
We kept hearing about it. Everyone we talked to about it, like outside of Meta or Facebook then, inside of Facebook.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Pixel Cloud.
Well, it's my point being, it's interesting to think about how much timing plays these important roles. You can have all the right ideas, but the timing also has to be right. And so that's part of it. But part of it, again, in such a humble way of bringing it, so you guys really executed beloved tools for a community that's frankly very tough on its tools. Like any community in the arts, photographers, painters, they have strong opinions about the tools that they're using and why they're using them and how they should be used. And to some degree, it's like the highest calling inside of these disciplines to be a tool manufacturer. Like, people like to have a relationship with the person making the tools. And you guys really built a suite of tools that very quickly took over. And so I think, you're right. The internet native, that's the third piece. The internet native piece is a huge part of it too. So you're using experience from multiplayer gaming and these other kind of online movements and thinking about how that affects tools development.
Yeah, I was playing Neopets a lot as a kid.
Sure.
So like the idea of a community online that you could go interact with, or from World of Warcraft, or you got using other tools in multiplayer.
Absolutely.
It just kind of, for me and Evan, I think it made intuitive sense. Then we went to the market and everyone was very skeptical. I mean, it was like really, I think 1 or 2 out of 100 people we talked with actually leaned in and said that would be awesome. And everyone else was like, huh?
Yeah.
Why would I want that? So it was against the mental model of the designer.
It wasn't their flow they'd been trained on. It wasn't what they'd been doing for professionally.
And I remember the first 2 folks that really gave us a heck yes on it were Tim Van Dam, Belinda Prino, because they were doing pair design in Dropbox. Celio, after leaving Facebook, went to Dropbox, hired both of them.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're working together side by side, and they're like, yeah, of course, with multiplayer, we're already doing it.
That's awesome.
They're the only ones, really.
It's funny.
And we launched, and people basically were totally averse to the idea. I've said it many times, but I remember back for the comments for our first launch post, and some people were like, "This is the future of design. I'm changing careers."
Oh no.
A camel is a horse designed by committee.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't know. One of the engineers on our team, John Smart, he always used to say, "Look, if you're getting a lot of love and a lot of hate, like that's a good thing,
Yeah.
because that means that you can maybe take the haters and turn them into lovers and evangelists and make them advocates for you, and you just got to solve their problems." And then actually, there's a designer who is actually quite amazing, and he was having some fun on the internet. He was kind of trolling a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, multiplayer, let's have a multiplayer party." And so he spun up a Figma doc, and everyone joined it, making fun of us, and did it together. They're making memes, they're drawing it, they're doing whatever, and it went on for like 3 days. And we're just like trying to make sure the servers don't melt.
Sure, yeah, of course.
We never anticipate this much load on a single file.
Yeah.
And it was this weird moment of like people are making fun of the thing that they're using.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, they're like introducing themselves to the use case. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure this is like really positive.
And in doing
even though the tone is like super trolly.
Yeah, they're proving the point. This happens so often in our space. Reminds me of like newsfeed, when everyone hated newsfeed, but they were using the newsfeed to find out that everyone hated newsfeed.
Exactly.
The system works. Like we've done it. It is kind of such a powerful example because the conviction that you guys had, you're trying this thing, new people come in. The worst response you can get is no response, right? Like you would definitely rather have people debating you, maybe even somewhat viciously online, than just like the news passes without comment.
Exactly right.
Like the worst outcome you can have is just like
no one cares.
No one cares. That's the thing you don't want to have happen. I really think that's true.
Yeah, I think it's like the lesson I kind of extracted from it, especially with hindsight. At the time, it was just like, we got to make sure people know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But now I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, we had a really clear point of view. And I think that's one of the most important things now.
Yeah.
If you want to stand out, you have to have that point of view.
Yeah.
In addition to, craft and everything else.
And when you do, you're going to have people who don't like it.
Yes.
Because your point of view, by definition of being interesting, can't be consensus. It can't be like the thing that people already expect.
Yep.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be creating any disproportionate value.
Exactly right.
So to some degree, you had these macro trends then. You're internet native in a way that I think people didn't expect that. You identified a key technology that, WebGL was kind of made fun of at the time. When everyone was getting deep on it, like that was like a technology. It's, oh, what are we going to do? Games in the browser, like all this kind of stuff. And so you had identified the key technology that was going to unlock that thing. But then you're absolutely right. The macro shifts. Software engineering had already happened. We knew software was eating the world. Nobody drew the natural. If software's eating the world, someone has to design that software.
Well, and also if we're moving to the cloud, you now have, instead of managed servers for most people, you've got AWS.
Totally.
And if you don't have box software, you've got app stores.
That's right.
And developer tooling is getting better. It's like value is actually moving up the stack.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's all about actually how do you make great software. And ironically, given there are very few designers at Facebook at the time, experiences like Facebook, Gmail, these good consumer experiences were starting to come into play.
That's right.
Yeah. And the expectations were changing. So it's like, wait a second, I'm going home and I'm using these products and they're great. Why isn't all the software I interact with great?
Totally. Yeah.
And so that was also, I think, driving the change too.
Yeah. Goes back. We briefly touched on this actually when we spoke on stage at Config, but you go back to like Doug Engelbart, and you think of as one of the real pioneers of human interface design, computer mouse, and all these different pieces. And he had this construct that he wanted humans. He actually didn't want the interface to be easy to use. He wanted the interface to be incredibly powerful, and he wanted to train humans for dozens and dozens of hours to become capable of using the full power of the machine. And we didn't do that. Like, that's not the path we took. And it's not clear to me that path would have ever worked. Like going and taking every human being like, here, we're going to put you through like hundreds of hours of rigorous like training to like learn this specific capability, as opposed to like what we've chosen to do as a society, which is like, let us bring this capability to people.
Yeah. There are counterexamples, of course. It's a smaller number of people that would go for them, but some people use Dvorak keyboards.
Actually, like the way the tablets
is not easy to learn.
Yeah.
There's plenty of examples of things that are very hard, but then you get some efficiency because of it and power.
Yeah, I'm a Vim wizard, although I don't know why it was so important to my professors that I learned Vim. To this day, it's not entirely clear to me. The first time I opened like Visual Studio and used that was my senior year.
Yep.
And because we were students, we'd gotten a license to use Visual Studio, and we were doing like a web services thing. And I was, honest to God, outraged at my entire education to that point, when the only editor I was allowed to use was, you'd use Emacs or Vim.
Yeah, sure.
Was Vim. And I was like, I was just outraged. I was like, I could have been tab completing this whole time. Are you kidding me? You see the drop down of all the objects. This is crazy. This is exactly the transition I was hoping for, because so here we are, arguably poised for another shift, and it affects all of these pieces we've talked about. You think AI has this very interesting last mile capability to bring functionality to consumers, where, hey, set aside Vim, even whatever complexities exist inside of Microsoft Word and formatting documents correctly, like a bunch of these things that are still kind of arcane that the everyday consumer comes into an interface with.
Yep.
Small aside, I can't help myself. You know that meme recently, the best meme of all time, where the woman is like organizing her furniture and moves the coffee table like 1 centimeter, and the entire room is like upside down, and it's like formatting documents in Word. The reason that became a widely popular meme is because every human has come across this.
Yes.
And it seems to, like, we know as computer scientists why layout is a hard problem. Like, we understand why layout's a hard problem. And also, that's totally insane. Like, any reasonable software would not do that thing. So I think of this all the time. So AI stands to be this interesting bridge to unlock the full capability of the machine without causing the user to have to do elaborate. They may not sometimes still benefit from it, to your point, but they don't have to do it to unlock the full power. It also feels like a macro curve in the same way that the internet was this macro curve, and social collaboration was this macro curve that you guys were riding. It's this technology enabler. It's this kind of crazy curve. So we've talked about kind of the 13 years of past, like, where do you see it going forward?
I think, first of all, the exponential curve we're on, the reason we're talking about data centers in space was because you're saying, oh man, if we keep going 4 or 5 years from now, we'll be using all the power of a sun or multiple suns.
The linear extrapolation.
It's like,
that's right.
Yeah. If it's like we have to get to Alpha Centauri in order to, build another Dyson sphere.
That's right.
Of course, there'll also be, like, I'm sure, tons of research improvements along the way, new architectures that are more efficient. But yeah, at the same time, there's obviously some ceiling of the power that can be consumed.
Right.
And so I think it's unclear to me exactly where things, tap out a bit.
Yeah.
I think the next year or two, that exponential on the power consumption side is clear.
Yeah.
On the progress side, is it possible we'll hit a wall somewhere or start to see diminishing returns?
Yeah.
You probably know better than I do. But yeah, I think that even with today's technology, it is incredible what can be done. And that's applied to, language, to images, to media. And I think that's just obviously the start.
Yeah.
There's so many more domains to apply it to. There's so much that you can do, even just by prompting.
Yeah.
Like, if you're really good at prompting, you can actually do incredible stuff that others are completely wowed by. That's just literally not even doing post-training or fine-tuning. It's just a good prompt.
Yeah.
And then when you get into actually, okay, what will be the application of all this? You start to get to a world where not only is there more efficiency on, all sorts of tasks that are really laborious and burdensome, the drudgery right now, but I think you also go so much further in terms of what people can make, what they can create, the systems that they can cause to exist in the world, the agency that any individual has. And I think what's critical is the mindset of, it can't be a crutch. Like, it's so easy, especially as the systems get really good. I'm always reminded of this dinner I was at with a family that's a sort of like family friends and their neighbor. And I was at this dinner, and 2 parents, 2 teens. And the son was talking about how he uses AI to basically help a lot with his homework.
Yeah, of course.
By that I mean, like, it's mostly running it for him.
Mostly the homework. Yeah, that's right.
And then the daughter's like, yeah, I have it like drill me on problem sets so I can be really prepared for my exam. I think it like really encapsulates the difference.
In one dinner table, you've got both sides of it.
And I'm just like, I think this is literally the dichotomy of how people will use AI.
Yeah.
If you're using it as a crutch, I don't think you're using it to its max potential. What you should be doing is trying to figure out, okay, how it could be a source of inspiration, a way to actually think further, to learn more. And then with that, you can go so many places.
Yeah, so you end up with a stratification where, like, for some people, you can get the minimum viable bar faster.
Yep.
And that's all they were going to do anyways. They're just getting there faster. But the minimum viable bar doesn't necessarily change, but the effort required to get there does. But for the other people, it raises the actual ceiling. Like the ceiling goes up because they can do more. For you, like, it's interesting. We talked into this a little bit about the market for designers growing so much. It has two nice properties, of course. One of which is you got a bigger customer base to appeal to. The second one is the new ones are more likely to adopt the new tools. They're not dogmatically attached to the old tools, and there's a disruptive force there. But there's been this interesting trend as well of kind of interdisciplinary work. So when I thought early at Meta, when it was like, I knew I wasn't going to design the feature. We certainly had some very design-oriented engineers, Jerry Morgenstern, Eddie, and a few others. But like, we really wanted to have, Aaron say like, this was good. You really wanted to have the kind of
Aaron's statement
of approval to feel really great about it. But over time, because I worked with them for so long, I started to gain greater instinct in the space of design and be able to get a lot further on my own. And likewise, that was in a generation of designers where they really would do basic coding because they really understood that. And at the time, interactive design tools were particularly for.
And also you took on Quartz Composer, turned Up Studio.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a really interesting thing to be pushing on. And also investments people forget, like paper, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought, it's like you play with it and it was like, this is an alien interface from the future.
And it became...
I mean, what Mike Manis was doing there was just amazing.
That's right. And that became... Well, paper itself didn't proliferate as such. A lot of those design pieces, both at our company and other companies, became...
it was a stake in the ground. It was like, this is the future.
Yeah.
What this could be.
So I think one of my concepts here is like things get more interdisciplinary over time. And so you had designers who were coding, you had coders who were starting to design, and that seems like it's accelerating a lot. And the LLMs help with that because it's like a lot easier for me to feel like I'm getting inside of an iterative distance of a credible design with the help of a model. And I really see that a lot in how I've approached, working places like Figma. There's some other new kind of fun companies like Krea and a few others that are, do different pieces. And I think it's pretty interesting. I'm curious for you guys, is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? Is the bigger market, a lot more people playing the game, and that's cool. There's also kind of a muddling of who the market was before. How do you guys look at the growth of people for whom these tools are relevant?
I think like we both saw AI coming.
Yeah.
And, well before ChatGPT, I was in my head.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, okay, is it a 10x, 100x for Figma? Is it a 1/10, 100th?
Yeah.
Like, which direction is it headed? And I think where I got to eventually is just the framework has to be, okay, as the models get better and as what you can do with the models gets better, you have to get better too.
Yeah.
And that's the basic rule.
Yeah.
And so if there's some place in the business where that's not true or could not be true if model capabilities improve, you have to fix it.
Yeah.
And so I think, though, that it's really exciting if people can get their ideas out. I mean, that's like the entire premise we started with.
That's right. That's the point of Figma, right?
Yeah. Brett Victor was a huge inspiration. And one of the things he said was that, basically when an idea goes undiscovered or falls by the wayside because someone can't bring it to life, that's a moral wrong.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was an interesting provocation. And now we're in a world where, you can go from imagination to actually something being real very quickly. And you can have your idea evaluated on its merits rather than, okay, does it meet, just like the visual style that we're going for? That does not mean that your output is going to be the thing that you're going to want to ship.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, the role of designer is greater because, again, going back to the start, like the thesis for the last decade for us has been values moving to the stack, design matters more. That was the thesis before AI. That's the thesis now with AI too.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true. You go look at something like paper, where you put that stake in the ground as this is the future, and then the ideas percolated. Well, that caused your products to stand out.
Right.
It made it so that people used them and they were delighted.
Yeah.
You had a point of view. You had impeccable visual craft and execution. It was dynamic. And I see that across many of the products that you've pushed over time, that attention to detail and making sure it's a great experience.
Yeah.
And I think the investment in that craft, in that design, that point of view, but also brand,
Yeah.
and overall how you show up in the world, it only increases right now because that's how you stand out.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really important moment to be leaning into that.
Yeah.
And that's the cross creative disciplines. I think, you know, a lot of creatives, rightfully so, have been very spooked by the models getting better.
Yeah.
But I think what will end up happening as we look back 10 years from now is that actually the model outputs are really more of like a new medium. And you can shape that medium like clay. And you can create, just like in Origami Studio, you can create these processes to make it so that you're able to transform and mutate these outputs in order to get to an output that you think is really incredible. And the first prompt should not be the final destination. You should push it to the final destination and add your own feedback, add your own thought. And when a product we recently acquired, it's called Weavy. Now we're calling it Figma Weave. And it's something we're really excited about because it basically creates that node-based workflow in order to make it so you can really chain together different models, different outputs, transform them, and get to its final destination. I think that's like really what's needed is that process and creating those pipelines for the future of creativity.
Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting pieces here. I mean, first of all, yeah, I mean, the beauty of maybe, founder-led companies like yours is you have a value system that is the product. Like the product is an expression of the value system that you and the team who heard you talk about it and decided, yes, this is the effort I want to join, are aligned upon. And in that world, it's hard to have a thing be a threat because the thing is either useful or it's not useful. And if it's useful, we're going to use it. And so you're able to kind of not disrupt yourself, that's the wrong word, but to embrace, oh, this could be scary new technology, but no, like we're going to embrace because you have a value system, which is a belief in empowering people, building tools that let them achieve the visions that they have. And this is obviously a tool that helps that. Because you can't question that AI is a tool that helps people need less outside help, other people to achieve a vision that they have. Doesn't mean it's free, doesn't mean it's not work. That's a whole piece there. And you can't fight it. Like fighting it is futile because if people want to achieve their vision and you want to be the place that is the best way for them to do it, this is the alignment you have. At the same time, there is a tremendous degree that you show care for the craft. And that is one of the things that people are worried will be lost with AI. Because craft is not a consensus. It's not the averages of 10 things seen before. Craft is very specific. And when we think of like a well-crafted design object, we love the little details that are not obvious, maybe not even evident, but like upon a close inspection, you realize, this curve is because like when you grab it here, that's just like going to gently guide your hand to the right grip. Like there's just little pieces that are not immediately evident. I do expect the AIs to keep getting better and more interesting.
Well, here's an interesting point too. My prediction would be that as you get to AI systems, models that can show higher craft, if you think back to like the design reviews and product reviews you've been in, where you've seen something that's truly opinionated, my guess is that not everyone in the room got it right away.
That's right. Yeah.
And instead, it actually created a lot of conversation.
Yeah, totally. Just like Figma and like Newsfeed and other things.
Exactly. Right. And so I think that as you put out outputs from a model that actually show a high degree of craft, we're not there at all yet. Like let's say we get there. I think it actually just elicits more thought from everyone.
The editorial role, which is the key. The key piece is like, hey, of these controversial, high craft directions, we edit, we decide.
And ultimately you get to a place where you then, you're not just seeing one thing that's high craft, you're seeing multiple points in this very complex option space. And then it's your job as a designer or as someone that wants to think about how can I improve the design of my idea? How do I navigate this option space, this latent space that's like hyperdimensional in order to figure out the right places to go and explore and push?
This is one of my constructs for the history of technology and the human species is we kind of keep thinking that we know what we are as a species, and then inventing things that do that thing, and then finding out actually what we are is this other thing. And it's a dialogue too. We're not fixed. Like as the tools get better, we evolve. In some ways, right? Modern art was a repercussion of photography putting pressure on painters who were doing, realistic looking landscapes. It didn't eliminate those painters. The best ones are still unbelievable and continue to thrive. But a lot of people went in different directions, and actually we found an entire new way of expressing emotion and energy and thought, and it was kind of tremendously fascinating.
That or is an intelligence operation? Yeah, we don't know, but either way, it was something that people got excited about because it was newer.
Yeah,
and if you think about art right now,
yeah,
I think actually there's a chance that the reactions to AI and the ability to output things and not be able to distinguish exactly when it was prompted versus when it was crafted, in the physical realm of art, I think it'll lead to new art movements that we have not leaned into historically. Natural materials, whether it be, living materials like wood, or, actually, for example, I have a friend that's doing a lot of work with basically wool.
Yeah.
And stuff that's sculptural.
Mm-hmm.
It's those are the things that I think people start leaning into more. Yeah. So there's also always the reaction to what's going on and what people are going to seek and the novelty. And I think that that's going to be really fun in the realm of design, because the creativity explosion we're going to see, we've been in this world of Swiss minimalism for so long.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Swiss minimalism. I think that it has its place, but should all of software be Swiss minimalism?
Right.
Should all of software be Swiss minimalism?
Yeah.
That seems intuitively wrong.
Yeah.
And I think back to the flash era of the internet and how much there was this rampant creativity, people trying all these things.
GeoCities, man, just max it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think that there's also the sort of connotation from something like GeoCities or the flash era of, oh yeah, my computer crashed, or it was actually not high craft.
Right.
What if you had high craft and the explosion of creativity?
Totally. Yeah.
This could be an amazing era ahead.
Yeah. No, it is interesting I've seen more and more of that movement online, and I'm loving it. Hey, what about maximalist software design? What if we just this thing can do so much? What if we just went yard with it? I really like that idea. And I do. This is my kind of point about dialogue exactly. It's not a static thing. Once you introduce a new media, and I think AI art is going to kind of come to be in its own media type. There's a reaction to it, and people rebalance it, and they find new different ways to create, and the audiences want to continue to find new and different things. At some point, a thing that becomes readily present collapses on its own weight, and we seek the craft at the edge. And there's always an edge. There's always some kind of an edge,
and you're always pushing it.
Absolutely. That's the nature of artists.
Yes,
it's the nature of what that thing
and
is.
Design and creativity in general, engineering. I mean, it's all of it.
What are the things that you see as unchanged? So in the current moment, it does feel like everything is askew and generative AI is going to eat everything. And we talked a little bit about some of these pieces of the intention and the craft and the expression. Those things don't change maybe, but what are the pieces of the workflows that you're seeing where it's there's just no shortcut right now? There's no way out of this piece. There's AI isn't coming to save you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe I'll build up to it. If you kind of think about just what is unchanging from a human perspective first.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had how many millennia of evolution to get here?
Yeah.
A good thing for Meta, I think we're going to still be seeking social connection.
I think so. That's right.
I sure hope so, at least.
Yeah.
That not everyone's just talking their AI all the time, that satiates them. I think that, Farmville was something that went rampant on Facebook at some point.
Yeah.
But people had a sort of antibody reaction to that.
Right.
It didn't take over their life.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe newsfeed tweaks help too.
Yeah,
but,
a little bit of both. Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, but I think that people will be seeking social connection that'll matter. And then I think about just what does it mean to be human? You're looking to make some impact on the world, whether it be a small scale, large scale, any kind is fine. It could be just helping people in your local community. But that pursuit of craft and that pursuit of creating things, I think, is intrinsic to being human.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that stops. And I think that people react to the systems around them by trying to explore the edges. We're like a species that likes to explore the frontier.
Totally.
And in all domains, I believe that will still happen.
Yeah, no, I really agree with you. I kind of think in my head, we get a little bit because there's now a global news structure, which we didn't used to have. It can feel hard for people to feel like they're making a difference in a way that it didn't used to. You know, if previously, if your world, your effective world was your town,
Yep.
you know, there was a construct there that you felt big inside of. But really, it is the case, you know, whether you're just raising a family and you're supporting a family, that's key business. You're going to church, you're going to your local community, and you're supporting whatever the thing is. Like, it is interesting how much we let the unbelievable noise of the internet and even AI, as enthusiastic as I am about what I think it will unlock for us as a species, get away from, like, at the end of the day, we're like eating food, we're sleeping, we're like creating family units.
Yep.
We're
like to be entertained.
Totally. We like to be, yeah, we're crafting society. We're finding out how to spend our time. And those pieces are like these evergreen fonts of all the value.
Yep.
Like, you can't create value in any other way than those ways. Like, there's the only known ways to do it. And it's like, we're just like approaching those things with different, like, how can we be more useful? How can we be more entertaining? Like, that's all we can do. I am constantly set with this. And also the inertia of human society is a real thing. On stage at Config, you and I also talked about new interface designs. We talked about the neural interfaces that we're working on.
Are amazing, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I
appreciate it.
Yeah, I was playing with that beforehand. You're very kind to show it to me a few times in advance too, and just the advancements that are coming there, and the way that you get the haptic feedback. And I mean, it literally is something that you take it off, and it feels like you're now missing something.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like a prosthetic limb in some way. It's really wild.
Well, I applaud your kind words. The check is in the mail, as we say. Yeah, we got a chance to try the Better Event displays just beforehand, but yeah, you've gotten to try quite a few prototypes before that. There's all these new and exciting things. AI is this new and exciting thing. Then there's just like some rate at which this stuff can infiltrate society. Like, there's just some like natural inertia that's very hard to move. So the rate of change of society writ large is like, I'm not going to say it's fixed, but like there are bandwidth limits to like how fast those things change. And so the thing I think we're afraid of sometimes as a society is rapid change. Sure, we're afraid of change. Change is scary, especially for those of us over the age of 35. But
is it the cutoff?
That's right. It is. Douglas Adams said it right. Douglas Adams, you know, before 25, that's the way the world works. Between 25 and 35, it's a wonderful invention, and I might make money off of it. After 35, it's an abomination. That's Douglas Adams, and I found it to be. I'm 43 now. I found it to be upsettingly accurate. I have to really fight when a new thing comes up to not be like, I don't need new things. Get this new thing out of here. So perhaps my days as CTO are limited now, but so far I've been able to fight to keep my mind open. But it is actual effort now for me. My point being, like, there's this inertia in the society that has an effect on these things, and we do have time to shape them, so they don't just hit in their final form.
Yeah,
they react, and so you create it, and then humans react in the way that humans do. And that creates a second wave that's better than the first wave. So yeah, you do, like, you come in heavy with a Farmville, and you like balance it out with like other mechanics that like give people a greater longevity and a greater balance. They feel better out in the long term. And we do take. I'm not going to pretend we don't take missteps as a society, as an industry, as a company. But like you adapt to those, and it does feel like the kind of place we have the ability to adapt. And the people I want guiding our adaptation to AI are very much in your community in Figma, right? These are people who are absolutely trying to think about the meta
system.
Machine,
yeah,
the system. They're thinking at the societal level. They're thinking at the individual effect.
Yep.
It is the community of people in our industry that takes on the responsibility for that.
Yes.
And so it's very exciting that you guys are kind of on the cutting edge of this thing, because I think that is the community that we need guiding the shape of it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that if you look forward, my hypothesis is that we're just going to see so many more designer leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And at least that's what we need.
Yeah. Totally.
And I hope designers writ large will step up to the challenge.
Yeah, totally.
Because whether it be on the societal level, whether it be on the industry company level, like in every part of the equation, this is what we need. We need systems thinkers who are really trying to be coming from a place of values and understanding, okay, how do I shape this? How do I shape this future? And, for every dystopic scenario that you can come up with, you can come up with an optimistic one. How do we bend that curve of progress towards optimism?
That's right. And it's work. It's like, it's not free. No one's pretending that it naturally happens. But we just like the faith that we have in one another to some degree causes us to believe that on net, far more of us will bend it in the right direction than not.
Yeah. And there's an element of faith, I think, that is at play there.
Yeah.
You cannot assume that it just all happens automatically. And it also takes faith to believe in the bad scenarios.
Totally.
And I think that people miss that. It's like pessimism and optimism are both faith.
Yeah. Totally.
But like you can choose.
That's right. Yeah. And you can play a role. Like you can pick up a shovel and you can guide the thing the right way.
Yeah. And also I think that the interface of the future, going back to your original point, and the ways that we'll interact with technology, I'm very, very excited about. I think it's going to look tremendously different in 10, 20 years than it does today.
Yeah.
And, our original vision as a company is how do you go from imagination to reality? And that's some point we took kind of narrowed in on make design accessible, and then we expanded back out. No, that's the right one. Age of AI, people get it now.
Yeah.
And I think that now we're in a world where we're approaching, okay, I've got a thought in my head and I can get onto a screen, into the real world.
Yeah.
But then how do you get that feedback loop?
Right.
And, eventually we'll get to, I think, BCI, non-invasive and invasive interfaces. I know invasive freaks people out, understandably.
We'll get there.
But I think it's going to be a very important part of the tech tree.
Yeah.
And I think what we'll see is just a even bigger explosion in what humans can do.
Yeah.
And how they can impact and how they can create. And overall, I'm just very, very excited for like how we can unlock human potential.
Well, I'm not going to beat that. That's a tremendously positive and optimistic point to end on, and I agree with you completely. People are going to give me a hard time. So I have such tremendous respect for you and the company that you've built and the community you formed around that company. And the way you approach it, obviously, it comes through in the conversation with humility. You're online, responding to people you care about when things don't seem right. You're in there personally mixing it up. Really, it's a tremendous example for our industry. And there is a greater movement towards design-led companies. First of all, there's designers like Steve Jobs who, in retrospect, weren't called designers at the time, but in the modern era, we would have called them designers. But people like Ben Blumenfeld and others building up and trying to support design-led companies. So there does seem to be a movement there.
And a lot of it coming out of Meta, too.
We do our best.
Meta mafia of design.
That's right.
Has spread very far. But yeah, excited to see what the next generation designers do, too. I think that Gen Z is coming from a very different place. We started the conversation by talking about how, for me and Evan, we had just assumed a world state that was different.
Yeah.
Gen Z is the same way.
That's right. 100%.
And the things that they will bring and how they will, bring forward new ideas will be pretty incredible too.
Yeah. I'm going to try to not get too old to appreciate it. I'm going to jump into a speed round here. We have to choose something fun. So this one is going to be, I'm going to name some design trends. And I want you just to say overrated or underrated.
Okay. I'll do my best.
Skeuomorphism.
Overrated.
Glassmorphism.
Overrated.
Dark mode.
Definitely overrated.
Comic sans.
Underrated.
Agreed. Hamburger menus.
Underrated.
Pull to refresh.
Very, very underrated.
AI generated UIs.
Overrated. As an idea in the future, I can qualify. Sorry, I can't qualify. Speed round.
I'm loving this. I'm going to keep this going, the over-unders. Thanksgiving sides. Overrated or underrated? Stuffing.
Oh, so underrated.
Underrated, the max. By the way, my max underrated.
Stuffing is the best thing about Thanksgiving.
This is, we're brothers. Sweet potato casserole.
Overrated.
With marshmallows.
Definitely overrated.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Mac and cheese.
Slightly underrated.
Yeah, could it possibly be overrated when it's already amazing?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Mashed potatoes.
Overrated.
Creamed spinach.
Very overrated.
That's my first departure from you.
Oh,
I'm underrated. I'm a big cream spinach fan. Green bean casserole.
Overrated.
Yeah. Cranberry sauce.
Very underrated.
From a can.
Sometimes overrated.
All right, I'm with you. Listen, this is wonderful. Thank you for coming. I'm not going to argue with that.
Thank you for having me.
Other than cream spinach, where you and I are of accord.
Well, maybe I just gotta get your recipe.
Although I will say dark mode. Okay, one small shout out for dark mode. Dark mode, I agree with you on all existing media. However, in transparent glasses, dark mode is awesome and rules. So we are going to take advantage of the overrating of dark mode and make it underrated in future displays.
We're excited for not just dark mode, but all the themes.
That's right, all the themes.
It's not against dark mode. It's just like this. It can't be just binary. Going from 1 to 2 is hard. 2 to N is exciting.
Yeah, that's right. Where should people follow you on the internet?
I mean, whether it be Threads or X. I mean, @Zoink is my handle.
It's a great handle.
@Zoink.
It's a great one.
Actually, Threads might be Dylan J. Field. I have to clarify that.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
So either way, following you on the internet, you're very engaged with the community. It's a great place to learn what's going on. Everyone, thank you for listening. You can listen to Boz to the Future wherever you enjoy fine podcasts, and we will see you in the future.